want to just say hi to everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm sure I'll get a few more people joining us here as we move through the evening. We'll go ahead, and I want to go ahead and get started. I want to honor everybody's time. Appreciate everybody for coming. You're welcome to probably the easiest thing to do, kind of like what we've done with past Q&As, is to just probably just type those questions up in the chat. If you've got something specific that you needed to ask me, welcome to, if you want to unmute yourself and ask that question, that's certainly not a problem for me as well. But I'm just going to probably share some general information with you to get started. And then we'll go ahead and I'll just kind of open it up for questions when we're done. So, obviously, first and foremost, I can't even express how excited I am that our kids are coming back next week. It's pretty unbelievable to me to think that we're almost exactly a year from the time that we closed our doors to when we're actually getting these kiddos back in the building. So, we're super excited. I know our staff is excited about it as well. We've been meeting a lot here in the last few weeks as we've started to do the work we need to do to ramp up to be ready for the kids to come back. And we're just excited to see them because it's been too long. And I have a ninth grade group that hasn't really set foot in the building. They've been members of Elmira High School since September, and they haven't been with us. And so we're excited to get them back. And I have a sophomore group that we were having a great year last year, and then things closed up, and we had a tough. We weren't able to finish the year with last year's ninth graders the way we wanted to. So excited to have them back, and we're just I feel like we're just about ready to go. So I'm just going to go over some general things with you to start out with. And then we'll go ahead and give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have when I'm all done. So first off, let's just talk through some procedures, things that we're going to be asking students to do, things that we're going to be looking for as kids come into the building. Obviously, first and foremost, masks are going to be required for our students at all times, and that includes out in the breezeways during passing times, when they're in the hallways, when they're in the classrooms. Really, the only time that they're going to be able to take that mask down is when they are eating in the lunchroom, or if they're in the classroom, they want a sip of water. We are going to allow water bottles in those classrooms, and so if they need a sip of water, certainly they can take that mask down, get a quick sip of water, and pull that back up. But masks are going to be required pretty much all the time. We will give students an opportunity if they need a break from that mask. They'll have an opportunity to get a break from that mask. Teachers will either have a designated space back in a corner of their classroom, or in many cases, a lot of our classrooms, as you know, are located in the outside area. And so students would have an opportunity to step outside into the breezeway, take a quick mask break in the breezeway, and then come back into the classroom. So just make sure students are remembering that. We will have masks at the door if anybody forgets their mask, but we're hopeful that the kids will remember them. Everybody that's been coming for the limited in person has done a really good job, and so we're hoping that we are able to continue that with the rest of our kiddos. Social distancing will be another piece that we'll be enforcing that real strictly. Our classrooms have been reconfigured to maintain 35 square feet for each student. The teachers have been spending most of this week getting their rooms prepared for that. Many of those teachers have they've used a variety of strategies to do that. Some teachers have taped off every other desk for kids. Other teachers have stacked extra desks in the back of the room and just set up the desks that they want to have in their classroom available to the kids. You'll find that as we set up our small stable cohorts for for our students, you'll find that your kids are going to tell you that they're in classes primarily of between 8 and 12 students. That's kind of what the typical class size is. There are a few classes that are a little bit bigger than that. Some of our PE and art classes, those rooms, those spaces are a little bit bigger. Those rooms can hold up to, the gym can actually hold up to 30, although we don't have anything that big. The art room can hold up to 20. Again, I don't think we have anything that big in any of those classes as well. But do know those rooms will be spaced out. They'll be asked to social distance in those classrooms as they come into the door. They'll have an assigned seat. They'll need to head on to that seat, and that's where they'll primarily spend their time during those class periods. One of the things we had discussed was having students stay in one room and having teachers move to them. What we found as we are going through the schedule was we had a lot of limitations in our ability to do that. One was electives and science classes and other special classes like foreign language and some of those other things. And so once we did a pretty thorough analysis of our cohorts and a pretty thorough analysis of where kids were going to need to be, we really came to the conclusion that there was going to be kind of impractical to have students, to have teachers move to students. So students will move during passing times. Teachers will stay in their classrooms. When we did our analysis, we were pretty confident that we're going to be able to make those, we're going to be able to move students around the building in a way that is safe and allows for them to remain spread out. One of the trade-offs, and this is what I told the teachers, is since they're not having to move, they need to remember that it's an all hands on deck operation when it comes to passing time. All teachers out in the hallway, all administrators, all IAs out in the hallway, making sure that kids are following those rules and protocols. Tomorrow, we're going to have a massive sign hanging party as we cruise around campus, hanging up one-way arrow signs, directional signs, reminders, signs for where students can enter and exit by their grade level. We'll be spending some time on that tomorrow, getting all of that work done. And then on Monday, we'll do kind of a walkthrough, kind of mock schedule with our teachers one time, just to kind of see how that's going to look with people moving around the building. So just know that we've done a ton of work, and we'll continue to do work on that social distancing piece to make sure that kids are doing everything they can to maintain their distance from each other. Lockers and locker rooms. We will not be using the school lockers. We will not be using the locker room. So kind of two things to think about there. One, for students, that means they need to have a good backpack with them every day. We're hopeful that the Chromebook, which they do need to bring every day that they're at school, we're hopeful that the Chromebook is going to help take care of some of the size of the weight of that backpack. The Chromebook should take care of quite a few things like notebooks and that kind of stuff. There won't be as much of a need for those things. Several of the students' textbooks exist already on that Chromebook electronically. So we're hopeful that we're going to reduce some of the weight of that backpack by having every student have their Chromebook with them on the days that they're on campus. As far as the locker rooms are concerned, again, we won't be using that space. We just found it was going to be prohibitive to try to clean those locker rooms between PE classes. And so if your student has a PE class, just please remind them, and we'll be doing that as well. Mr. Lee has already been doing that. On the days that they come that they have PE, they need to come prepared to do some PE activities. Be a good idea for them to wear tennis shoes on the days that they come to school if they have a PE class. Maybe wear something a little more comfortable clothing wise. Probably not the right day if you're a young lady to wear heels and a dress on if you have a PE class. For the guys, probably not a good day to wear your loafers. It's probably a better day to have some tennis shoes on. good idea to not wear flip-flops, those kinds of things on the days that you have PE and the days that you're coming. Mr. Lee is, he understands that his PE classes are going to look a little bit different. We actually teach a class around here called leisure sports, where the kids do things, different kinds of, lawn games, cornhole, other kinds of games like that. And, he will be doing some of those kinds of activities with kids, in addition to some pickleball, some badminton, the types of things that, that we're all kind of familiar with our PE classes. There'll be more of that kind of stuff. As we move later into the spring, the weather gets a little bit better, then we could see us headed outside doing some activities, outdoors on the track, those kinds of things. But just remind your student that we will not be using the lockers. So we need they do need a good backpack, and we won't be using the locker room. So if they have a PE class, they need to come dressed in some semblance to participate in a PE class. As far as lunches are concerned, a couple things to remember. One, we will continue to provide lunch for free for any student that would like to have it. So that's just one thing for everybody to remember. That will be something that we'll continue to do. So anybody that would like a lunch, they will have a lunch available to them. Students will come to the cafeteria to receive their lunch. We'll have 2 lines for students to receive lunch, one for juniors and seniors, one for 9th and 10th graders. Students will get their lunch, and then they'll proceed to their to the location where they're going to be eating. We'll make sure that where those locations are, that they've got some chairs to sit on. We're not going to be asking kids to sit on the floor. We're not going to be asking kids to be uncomfortable. We're going to do the best we can to provide them with a comfortable, safe space for them to eat lunch. But again, we're in a position where we don't have enough supervision to put students in 20 different classrooms at lunchtime. We need to go ahead and find common spaces for each grade level to eat lunch. And so that's what we've done. We're going to put kids in different locations based on grade level. Looking right now, although we may make an adjustment to this for the seniors because we have fewer number of seniors in the building, but looking at probably something along the lines of the theater for the seniors for lunch, the auxiliary gym for our 11th graders, the main gym for the 10th grade, and we'll put our 9th graders in the cafeteria. We made some of those decisions based on who we thought might need the most guidance and who might be the messiest. Traditionally our 9th graders need some training when it comes to cleaning up after themselves after lunch. And so putting them in the cafeteria made the most sense to us from a standpoint of the kids that, we needed to give them the space that they're probably most used to eating lunch in, and, just lots and lots of reminders about what they need to do to clean up themselves, but clean up after themselves. But, kids will have an opportunity once second period is over. They'll head to lunchroom, grab their lunch. If they do not go get a free lunch from the cafeteria, they can just take their lunch directly with them to the space that has been designated for them to eat. So just make sure that they're aware of that and they know that that's going to be the case. We'll communicate those locations multiple times over the course of the week next week, so that we've got that pretty well trained up on the kids by the end of the week. Restrooms are another one. We're basically, one of the things that we're tasked to do is we've got these small stable cohorts that the kids will be in as they move through the classroom, but we'll also have these larger stable cohorts that will be based on their grade level. And so, again, that grade level piece will be determined by, they'll be sharing a common lunch space by grade level, and they'll actually be sharing a set of restrooms by grade level as well. Those restrooms will be real clearly marked, and they'll be able to go to, that'll be the location that they need to head to when they need to use the restroom. So just that'll be another piece. The other thing is those restrooms will actually, normally we typically don't, we're less lenient about kids leaving to go to the restroom during class, but with longer classes, we're going to be a little more flexible and with them for, using the restroom during class time. And we don't want them lingering at the restroom during passing periods. So we'll have people kind of patrolling those spaces, and if we can't have 10 kids headed into the bathroom during passing time, we're going to need to limit that as well. So kids need to remember that their best bet is to use the restroom during the during class, which is a little bit different than something we have done in the past. And then also, again, during passing time and at the beginning and the ending of the day, beginning of the day, there will be a designated location, again, by grade level. So kids will have a location that they'll enter the building at. For 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, it'll be a unique location for every student as they walk into the building. There'll be hand sanitizing stations at all of those places. We'll be asking kids to do that as they walk through. They'll get a visual inspection by folks that are supervising those spaces. We're not taking temperatures. We're not asking questions as they come in the door. We're just doing a visual check. We're really asking for your help with this. We really need kids, especially high school kids, should be able to do this. We need high school kids to self-screen. A lot of times it's interesting. We ask kids to they have the sniffles, or they don't feel very good. A lot of times we kind of ask them to just kind of fight through it and get to school, because we think that is important. And in this environment, we're asking them to not do that. Don't fight through the cold. Don't fight through the sore throat, or you wake up, you have a fever. We need you to self-screen. And if you're having any symptoms, you need to stay home. So we're really going to stress that with kids and make sure that that is what they're doing. We're strongly encouraging them to not come if they're not feeling well. But we will have, as kids come in the building, they need to report to their first period class. If they do not have a first period class and they're coming for second period, then they'll actually enter through the front office. All of those entry and exits that we normally will use at the beginning and the end of the day, those will be locked up. And the only entrance they'll be able to use is through the front office. And we'll do our visual monitor and have them sanitize their hands through the front door there. Lori will take care of that as they come through. So we do have lots of kids who don't have a first period class, but we do need them to, when you get here, you need to report immediately to the class that you're headed to, whether that be first, second, third, or fourth period. We need to make sure during those passing times, during the beginning of the day, again, it's a different sort of situation. I understand that it'll be challenging sometimes for kids who really are excited to see each other. But we can't have kids lingering. We can't have kids milling about in large groups. We need them to get moving to their classroom. And so we're going to ask kids to do that as quickly as they can. Just, I guess the other thing to remember as well, that we're going to be asking of kids who drive themselves, we're asking them to get here as close to the beginning of the day as possible. Realistically, we really actually don't want them to get here at 8 o'clock. The first bell rings at 8:20. If they're rolling in here at 8:19, that's perfect. Well, that's kind of really what we would prefer. Same is true if you're dropping your students. Our preference would be if you can drop them as close to the first bell as possible. We understand that's not possible for all parents. We will have a safe location for kids to sit and wait before we send them to their first period class. By about 8:10, we'll be sending students to their classroom. So for the first, if we get kids that show up here before then, we'll be sending them to the library. But just remember, we want them to get here as close to the beginning of the day as possible. The fewer 7:45 arrivers we have, the better we're going to be in terms of taking care of those situations. Last piece, just on procedures, there will be lots and lots of signage for where you can go into the building, signage reminding them about masks, signage reminding them about social distancing, signage reminding them about hand sanitation and washing their hands, signage for directions, one-way hallways, signage for this is my entry and exit point, signage for this is where my restroom is, signage in the cafeteria for where they're able to go. signage for where they're eating their lunch, just lots of stuff. I mean, the building that you're used to is going to look a little bit different as we bring these kiddos back to make sure that they are following through on those procedures. And we'll do a lot of teaching. I know that we're going to spend a lot of time teaching kids over the course of the next couple of weeks what this needs to look like for us to successfully bring them back on campus. And really that's our number one goal. Now that we're having the opportunity to reopen, our number one goal is to stay open. And the way that we stay open is to follow these procedures and to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to keep them safe while they're here, and to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to keep them on campus for the rest of the school year. And then I guess the last thing I would add as well, and this is a bummer for the juniors and the seniors, but our campus will be closed. So juniors and seniors won't have the opportunity to leave for lunch. They're going to need to stay on campus. And unfortunately, if you have an open second or an open third, and you won't have the opportunity to leave and come back. So again, I know that's kind of a bummer based on what we've been able to do in the past, but if we're going to follow all these procedures and do all of these things, it's completely counterproductive to then let 60 juniors and seniors leave campus and mingle out in the community at Dairy Queen or Taco Bell or Taco Time or any of those places. So when they're here, once they arrive, they're going to need to stay. If they drive and they don't have a first period class, then they shouldn't come until second period. If they drive and they don't have a fourth period class, then they should immediately leave after third period. They shouldn't linger around. But if they have a situation where they have a second or third period open, and they've got a first period class, they're going to need to stay. We'll have a safe place for them in the library for them to go under those circumstances. But just want to reiterate that and emphasize that as well. I know that's a tough one, but that's just the situation that we're in. All right, so I know I'm seeing a few questions in the chat. I'll get to those here in just a second as I kind of continue through. I want to finish up with the general information first, and then we'll go ahead and answer those questions. So schedules, again, A schedule or B schedule, or A block or B block, that information is up on the website as far as A day or B day, which one you are. On the A day, if you're an A day student, you're here and you're attending classes. If you're a B day student, then you're working asynchronously from home. Teachers are going to provide them with work on the off day. Teachers will not be Zooming kids into the classroom on their off day. They'll be doing asynchronous work, whether that be some videos that maybe the teacher produced. It could be a lab that they wanted them to work on. It could be a writing assignment. It could be a variety of things. It could be some math homework problems. We've really emphasized, I've talked with the teachers about this. We're strongly emphasizing trying to get as much instruction done during the 90 minutes that we have them in class when we return to school. So that's kind of the thing we want to emphasize, is that, we're going to be given some instruction. Yes, there'll be time for practice. Yes, there'll be time for questions. We want kids to walk out of there feeling very comfortable with the content that they received during the time that they had with the teacher. But some of the application stuff, some of the practice stuff is going to happen at home on the off day. And we're going to need students to be responsible and get those things done. And, I know lots of my teachers are looking at it as an opportunity for our high school kids to show that they have some maturity and some ability to work independently. And I know in a lot of cases, there's going to be natural consequences to going home on your off day and not getting any work done, because it's going to be due when you come back. And if you're not getting it completed while you're working on your off day, then there's going to be a consequence there of probably losing points on those assignments. So, we're going to be asking kids to do what they need to do to get that work done on their days off. Real good habit to get into as we move back into this is for them to treat the day that they're not in school still like a school day, and having them get up in the morning, and having them work through assignments and get some of that stuff done. So, I think it's going to be helpful for them to do those kinds of things. So we want to make sure that that happens. As far as the schedule is concerned, I see your hand up there, Joey. I'll get to you as soon as I'm done, bud. Okay. So daily schedule, they will continue with their 4 classes. Those classes are going to now stretch from, instead of 60-minute class periods, we're going to stretch those classes now to 90. During this comprehensive distance learning, we were getting 4 hours of instruction a day or 4 hours of instruction a week. Unfortunately, we're going to see a reduction in that. By stretching those classes to 90 minutes, we'll at least retain some of our instructional time at about, and we'll get about 3 hours of instructional time a week. Teachers may supplement some things with some videos that they want to watch kids, that they want to have kids watch when they're at home, and some of those things will be happening as well. But the majority of the instruction is going to happen during those 90-minute periods when we're at school, with those kids working asynchronously off on those off days. And then also remember, Monday will continue to be a no school day, as it has been for the entire school year. So, that's kind of what the schedule will look like. I've had a few folks ask about switching A days and B days, and my answer has been no, other than a situation where maybe a sibling at the elementary school doesn't match up, and you need that older sibling at home to watch, a younger sibling. I get it entirely. If I need my 11th grader home with my 4th grade student, because I'm at work, and so that makes perfect sense. We are allowing those switches, but we're not going to pretty much not allowing any other switches beyond that. And again, the reason for that is we spent a lot of time putting these small, stable cohorts together, and any changes that we make to the schedule just create a domino effect in terms of impacting those cohorts. And so that's why we're being very, very strict on any asks for switching those A and B days. So just know that we need you to hang with the day that you've been assigned. The only reason that we would allow it would be a switch for a sibling. So just be aware of that as well. And then, last piece before I get to those questions, and I'm sure there'll be other questions after I wrap up here. We are excited, for the return of our athletic programs. We will start to have competitions next week. We're excited. Lane County moved into high risk, or will move into high risk beginning tomorrow, which means that our volleyball program can begin regular practices. They've been practicing, but they've only been able to have 6 girls in the gym at a time for 45 minutes. And beginning tomorrow, they can have regular volleyball practice, which means we can host volleyball matches starting next week. And so that's kind of what we're looking at. We will have soccer matches here on campus next week. We will have volleyball matches here on campus next week, and we'll have a home football game here next Friday next week as well. The one thing that is unfortunate is that we're going to be very, very limited on the number of spectators that we can have at any of these events. And in fact, for football, because we're high risk, we're not allowed any spectators for football. So the only people that can be in the building for a football game are the players, the officials, and any people who are actually essential to working the game. So the chain crew, somebody up in the press box to run the scoreboard, those types of people are allowed in, but nobody else is. And just be aware that standing along the fence outside the stadium counts as somebody who is here as a spectator. So we're not going to be able to allow that. If you would like to sit in your car in the parking lot and try to watch the game from there, that will be allowed, but at the same time, that means in your vehicle. You will not be able to pull your truck in, back it up, and grab lawn chairs and sit in the back of your truck and watch the football game this Friday night. Unfortunately, that would also count as a spectator. So if you would like to sit and watch from inside your vehicle, That's pretty much all that we're allowed to have happen. As far as volleyball and soccer are concerned, right now our priority is to get those senior moms and dads into the building, or onto the stadium to watch those kids play. So that will be the priority. We're limited on the number of people we can have in any venue. For an indoor venue, the limit is 50. And when you put 2 volleyball teams, officials and coaches in there, you're already approaching that number. And so we're going to be able to put a couple of teams, some officials, coaches, and a handful of senior parents. And that's all we're going to be able to do right now. Soccer is the same. We're limited on the number of people that can be in the venue. For a high-risk county, the maximum number for people for an outdoor activity is 75. So when you throw 2 soccer teams, officials, and coaches, again, we're starting to approach that number just with the participants. And so same situation, we're going to be able to allow senior parents in, and that's all we're going to allow at this point in time. And again, I hope that as we move through the next few weeks here, the trend for Lane County has been good. I hope that trend continues. If it does, and the number of spectators and the number of people that were allowed in a venue starts to improve, then we would look at adding people. We're not trying to actively discourage people from coming. We much prefer to have a normal full gym, and I'd much prefer kiddos playing sports without masks on and all the things that we're required to do. But we definitely are going to follow the rules to the letter. And so please, if you're a parent of an athlete, this is hard enough as it is for Mrs. Whartonby, for myself, and for the coaches. And so, I'm just going to be real blunt with you. We don't need any grief about why I can't come into the game. We just, we're following the rules, and we're going to follow them exactly the way that we're supposed to. And if we don't, then we run the risk of not being able to participate. And so we don't want that to happen. We don't want to take away opportunities from our kids because we have adults that don't want to follow the rules. So we need to make sure we're following those rules to the letter. We're going to enforce them. We're going to make sure that we're doing everything correctly so that we can continue to have a season. The last thing we want to have is a situation where all of a sudden we get a kid or 2 sick and we have to close up shop because we can't continue. So we're going to follow those rules 100% to a T. So, all right. So I already see some questions. I'm going to go ahead and go to those questions in the chat. You're welcome to ask any other questions you want to, as well as we go through these. But we'll take a look at this here. So one question is restrooms in the main gym hallway. All of our restrooms are working. And so we shouldn't have any issue. Everything that we need for students to use restroom space is not going to be a problem. Everything is up and running. We had quite a bit of time, obviously, between when we closed and now when we're opening to make repairs. I will add, one of the things that's really great is we, our custodial crew, our maintenance crew came through and painted our hallways. Our hallways look as good as they have in a long time. I was talking to our maintenance guy, Greg Baker, and he said, yeah, it's probably been 20 years since those hallways have been painted. So it looks pretty good. So again, I think I answered that question. No, they cannot leave campus for lunch. And that includes the answer to that question. Are students allowed to eat lunch in their cars? The answer to that is no. That would constitute walking out the door. The only kiddos that we're going to allow to walk out the door at the end of second period would be anybody that is open period 3 and period 4. Everybody else is going to need to stay in the building. So we will have folks out at the entrances, exits during those lunchtime, and we're going to be funneling kids to their locations where they need to eat. But no, we can't eat in your car at lunchtime. As far as entrances, yeah. So as for entrances, our seniors are going to come in through the main lobby, right through the front door. Our juniors are going to enter through the LRC space. Our sophomores are going to enter down by room 17, which is Ms. Saint's room down at the end of the hallway. And our 9th graders are going to enter through the gym. All of those locations will have hand sanitizing stations where we'll ask kids to do that. We'll have extra masks if we need them. There'll be people there doing a visual check on the kids as they walk into the building, and then we'll be working to direct them right to their first period class. I'll happily post this information up on the website as well for anybody that wants to see that. We'll post entrances, lunch locations, and restrooms on the building. If case numbers go up more than 200, will we continue to hybrid, or will students go back to comprehensive distance learning? So we are not required to return to CDL unless cases go up over 350. So we'll look and see what the situation is in the county. We're going to follow the rules as they are set for us. And so if the case numbers start to rise, we will definitely take that into consideration. And again, our goal is to keep everybody safe. And so if we deem that the situation has changed and it's unsafe for the kids to be in the building, we would revert back to that CDL model if that's what we need to do. Yeah, if they're open 4th, they can leave. So if they have an open 4th period, they can drive, they can go home. Or if you want to come get them, that's not a problem either. The only issue would be if I'm open 4th and I have to ride the bus home, then they need to stay on campus. They're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to go unless they live up the street. I mean, that would be the other option. Possibly they could, if you call, say, hey, they live 5 minutes away, I'm giving them permission to walk home. Then we would allow for that. What days do B blocks go in person? So B block students are here on Wednesday and Friday. A block students are here on Tuesday and Thursday. Do senior parents need to pay to get into the home games? No, we're not charging any admission fees for senior parents this year. So if you are a senior parent and they're participating, you're going to be able to get into that contest for free. I'm not sure, that one just says, what is the school? So I'm going to skip over that one. So will sporting events be broadcast? Yes, that is the plan. We did get the Pixelot cameras from NFHS. We're working right now to get those set up and ready to go. I can't honestly tell you that they will be ready by Tuesday of next week when we first start playing games. If the Pixelot cameras from NFHS are not ready, then we'll go ahead and broadcast either through YouTube Live or Facebook Live, but we will have something streaming for you. The NFHS thing, for those of you that don't know, those Pixelot cameras, they're pretty amazing. They're actually really just little robots, and they're robotic cameras that follow the action around. The picture is tremendous, and NFHS provided those cameras for us for free. Parents can access those games. I'll be honest that you access those games, there is a fee that you will need to pay through NFHS to watch and stream those games at home. It's not a super expensive fee, but there is a fee to use the NFHS cameras. But we do feel like it's a much better platform, and it actually, it puts us in a position where we don't have to have parents who have to stream those games. We'll just have them available. Those cameras will be up in the main gym, and they'll also be up in the out at the stadium. What's the school's policy on non-compliance with mask and safety protocols? So, we're going to enforce them strictly. I mean, we're going to start with education. I think that's always the place that we're going to need to begin. And that education will include lots of reminders. Please pull your mask up. Please pull your mask up. Please make sure you're moving along in the hallways. Please make sure you're following the arrows. I'm hopeful that our students are excited to be back, and they're excited enough to be back that they're going to follow the policies that we have in place for them to return. If we get a situation where students are continuing to not be compliant, it's, in the Ready School Safe Learners documents, it's very clear that we can't deny them an opportunity for an education if they are somebody who is consistently struggling with the mask rules. But that doesn't mean that we still can't have them come down to the office and have a conversation with Mrs. Whartonby or myself about their continued issue with not following those rules. So, you know, we're going to start from a place of educating kids of why this is important. This is why, and that this is why we need them to follow these rules. And then we'll move to a place of having conversations, calling home, and doing what we need to do to try to get those kids to follow those policies. No different than dress code, no different than any of the other policies that we have in our building. Teachers talked about the 10-minute passing periods being staggered. Is the passing period going to be staggered? So that's part of why we're going to do our run through on Monday, you know, to determine if that's something that we need to do. It really comes down to, what does the hallway look like? How many students do we have out there at any one time? And if the number of students feels excessive, then yes, we'll stagger passing periods. And we'll allow some students to leave and head to their next class while we hold other people in the hallway, so that we have less students out and about during that passing time. You know, our campus is pretty good sized campus. We have lots of open air breezeways outdoors as well for students to walk around. We will also be working really hard to enforce that one-way traffic as students are moving from one direction to the other. So we're gonna see how that goes for the first week, and if we need to make adjustments to how we do our passing periods, we'll do that. But really, it's going to be about traffic flow, number of students moving around, and if we get out there and it looks like we're having issues with the number of kids in the hallway, then we will stagger those passing times. Start and end time of the school day. So we're back to the schedule that we had been running when regular school is in session. So school starts at 8:25 every morning and ends at 3:20 every day. So we'll have 2 10-minute passing periods and a half-an-hour lunch. The rest of the time, the students will be in their classroom for those 90-minute chunks. So, can students fill up their water bottles at school? Yes. So the drinking fountains themselves will not be available, but we have bottle filling stations at near the restrooms by the Hall of Fame hallway, and we have a bottle filling station just inside the auxiliary gym as well. And so those filling stations will still be open and available to students. We've determined, based on all the research that we've taken a look at, that those water filling stations are safe, and so students will be able to use those. But we do ask them, please come with a full water bottle if you're going to bring one every morning with you, so that we that we don't, again, we can't have students standing in long lines waiting for those filling stations. So we're asking kids to come prepared. Full water bottles, charged Chromebooks, those kinds of things really help us in terms of making our day go smoothly. So options for students who don't want to return to campus. So there are basically there are 2 options. One option is to enter the options program that we've been running all year long. For those students that that program is available. We've had some kids make that transition over already as we've announced our plan to return. And I'll be honest, that's the one that we're encouraging, because it's the established program that we have in place. It's the one that we are most comfortable with. It's the one that we have familiarity with. And, Mr. Cooper has done a really great job running that program throughout the year. However, if options is not what you would like to do, then we will continue to offer you a CDL option in your classes that you currently have. Just know that we will not be able to simultaneously give you instruction during those class times. So if you make that choice, you will get to see your teacher and they will give you instruction, but they're going to give you instruction during off times. Mondays, when we have that day off, students will be able to Zoom in with their teacher. during prep time for the teachers, they'll be able to do some Zoom meetings with their teacher, or during office hours before or after school. And so what we'll be doing is we'll be sending a list of those kids, because we do have a few already that have made that choice. And for those students that have made that decision, I'll be sending that list out to the teachers tomorrow, and they'll be reaching out to talk through with those students exactly when they can meet, and how often during the week that will happen. Everybody will still have their Schoology account. They'll all still be able to get their assignments. They'll still be able to submit all of that work electronically. They'll just need to spend some time with their teacher a couple of times a week to get those questions answered. How do we go about buses and bus stops? So if you are intending on riding the bus and you are going to do that, we just need a phone call so that we can make sure that you're on that list for a stop. So Lori has been taking calls all week. Give us a call and we'll make sure we get you on the bus list. My understanding is the routes are running to all locations as they would under normal circumstances. But you know, if you're the only one at that stop and you haven't informed us that you're going to be using that bus, or that you would like to ride that bus, you might get missed on the first day. So give us a call tomorrow, give us a call Monday. We'll make sure we get you on our stop list so that we get you picked up. Website mentioned COVID testing and parents signing a waiver. If parents do not want to sign, can the student continue with CDL, and will parents be informed of testing if a student is 18? So, you know, as far as I know, I mean, we're doing COVID testing. It's symptomatic COVID testing. So we're not doing any random testing of kids in the building. So, you know, one of the requirements for us to keep our to keep themselves you know, to allow us to, for example, to play football, was that we had to offer symptomatic testing for our kids. So that testing would only occur if a student is symptomatic, and in that instance, as far as I know, that's where the waiver would come into play. You know, we did anybody that wanted to participate in football had to sign that COVID waiver. But as far as the testing is concerned, it is symptomatic only. And I don't know if Mr. Carpenter wants to chime in anything there. I think he was on. If I missed anything, or if there's anything else I needed to add on the COVID testing piece. And then, do parents need to inform the school if their students will be dropped off or taking themselves? No. You know, that's perfect. You know, that's pretty normal stuff. If your kid's going to drive themselves, that's certainly not a problem. We're actually not charging for parking passes this year. We'll still want to keep track of who's driving, just so that we have that information. But we don't need you to tell us if you're going to be dropping your kid off or if they're going to be driving themselves. Students are returning next week, Thursday, Friday. Yep. So if you're obviously at 10 through 12, what are they doing on Tuesday, Wednesday? Your teacher will be informing your student what Tuesday and Wednesday is going to look like. Most of the teachers are going to be continuing with the CDL schedule on Zoom. The only situation where that wouldn't happen would be if your student is in a mixed class that includes 9th graders. If they have 9th graders in their class with them, then that class will be an asynchronous learning period. But most of the teachers wanted to continue with CDL for Tuesday and Wednesday next week. So they'll be plan on a Zoom meeting, plan on class for your students on Tuesday and Wednesday, unless something is different there. Our middle school and high on different buses this year. That, you know, that one I'm not 100% certain of. Again, Gary, I don't know if you're there and listening. I don't know the answer to that one. Oh, there he is. He just wrote in that one. Testing is optional, not required. Oh yeah, and that is true. Only would occur if we are back above 200. Symptomatic on campus and have a signed waiver. Same buses. Yep. Thank you. Do all students go back on the 4th and 5th, or only A block students? No, so A block students will be here on the 4th, and B block students will be here on the 5th. So we have on Tuesday, it'll be A block 9th graders only. And then on Wednesday, it will be B block 9th graders only. And then on Thursday, it will be all A block students, 9 through 12. And then on Friday, it'll be all B block students, 9 through 12. So that's how we're going to divvy up the week. Is there state testing this year? Which grades? How to opt out? So right now, the state of Oregon has applied for a waiver with the federal government. We do not know whether or not that waiver is going to be approved or not. We know that the testing window is begins in April. So we'll be doing testing in April if we are required to. It'll be April through the middle of June that we'll get that testing done. As far as grades, that's always an 11th grade deal at the high school. So it's 11th grade that's getting tested. And how to opt out, there's an opt-out form on the website that you can fill out and turn in. You always have the opportunity to opt out your student from state testing if that's what you'd like to do. What if parents don't want to sign a waiver? Can students still attend in person? Yes, they can. That's all that I'm seeing question wise. I'm not going to go away until everybody gets a chance to ask anything that they would like to ask. But again, I want to reiterate, we're very excited to get them back. I know our teachers are chomping at the bit to see their kids. I've got, it's kind of funny to think, but I have 3 new teachers, Mrs. Davis, Mr. Wells, and Mr. McCourtney, that, most of our kids have never actually ever met in person. And so I know those teachers are excited to actually get a chance to see kids for the first time in person. I just, I know we're excited to have everybody back. Those with with unique extenuating circumstances, contact individually. Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to do that, is just give us a call, and we'll get you taken care of as best that we can. We're excited to have you back. I've been helping out with football this spring. It's the wettest, muddiest season that I've ever been a part of, but it's been fun to have the kids out there, and it's been interesting. It's been exciting listening to the kids talk about how ready they are to come back. I mean, even those kids, and I know a lot of them who school, they don't always dig school very much, but man, are they excited to get themselves back in the building and have something that feels a little more normal. I think they're excited for that. So, all right. I did get another, let's see. Some thank yous. Absolutely very happy to help out. What's happening with basketball season? I don't know. Basketball is still prohibited because it's a contact indoor sport. That's part of the reason they pushed it to May. I'm hoping that we're going to have a basketball season, but we won't know that until later on in the spring. Lots of thank yous there. You're welcome. Thanks everybody for coming. Obviously, you're welcome to log off whenever you need to and call it a night. Please always feel free to call the office and get any questions that you have answered from Lori, myself, Mrs. Whartonby, Mr. Carmen. We're very happy to answer any question that you have. I can't express how excited we are to have your students back. Missed them a ton, so we're ready. So thank you, everybody. Again, I'll stay on if anybody has anything specifically they want to ask. I'll hang here for a few more minutes as you're logging off. But thanks for taking some time to visit with me this evening. And again, we're looking forward to seeing your kids next week. So thanks, everybody. Have a great evening.
Dear Gardner.
Yeah, what's up, Joey?
Will I be on Tuesday? for B?
Well, let's look. Let me look it up real quick, okay?
Right.
So, yeah, we were just wondering if he will have his morning session on Tuesday and Wednesday next week, or if he will only go on Friday because he's a B day.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, no, he will only go on Friday because he's a B day. Yeah, our limited in-person ends tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, you bet. Oh, that's why. All right, I got a couple more people on there. I'm going to go ahead and it sounds like I have any more questions. I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting. Thanks everybody for coming tonight and have a great evening.